This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by the Ridley Report. Ridley Report.
Taxes are the issue this week as Americans struggle to make the April 15th deadline to file their returns. It's a good time to contemplate the effects of big government and what it does to our country. The income tax is one of the most egregious encroachments on our liberties today. It is a form of involuntary servitude which was supposed to have been outlawed by the 13th Amendment. Tax Freedom Day is defined as the day when the nation as a whole has theoretically earned enough income to fund its annual federal tax burden. For all the days of the year before this day, you are a slave to government. For 2009, Tax Freedom Day will come on April 13th. Almost a century ago, in 1910, before the mistakes of 1913, namely the inception of the Federal Reserve and our income tax, Tax Freedom Day was January 19th, signifying a mere 5% tax burden. Somehow, our country functioned just fine. If calculated to include government spending and the deficit rather than just collections, Tax Freedom Day would actually fall on May 29th. The annual deficit adds to the growing debt of future generations and adds insult to injuries to those that struggle to make this economy work. It is a slap in the face that this is not enough to prevent this crushing governmental burden from falling on the next generation. For months now, Washington has been desperately throwing taxpayers' money at various programs to stimulate us out of the recession to no avail. Seeing hard-earned money confiscated from the people and spent in such wasteful ways, such as the recent bailouts, is almost too much to bear. Getting rid of the income tax altogether, while very beneficial, may be a while in coming. In the meantime, I am fighting for every tax cut or tax credit possible. I can think of no better economic stimulus than letting the people keep their money and spend it on how they see fit. For this reason, I am an original co-sponsor of a bill that would give Americans a 2-month employment and income tax holiday while taking unused TARP money back from the Secretary of the Treasury and putting it in the Social Security Trust Fund instead. In addition, I have recently introduced the Child Health Care Affordability Act. If passed, this legislation would provide parents with a tax credit of up to $500 for health care expenses of dependent children. I have also reintroduced the Tax-Free Tips Act, which would make tips exempt from federal income and payroll taxes. I am also an original co-sponsor of a bill that would make permanent the deduction of state and local sales taxes. My bill, H.R. 162, exempts Social Security benefits from income tax. These are just a few of the many tax-related bills I am fighting for in Congress, but without a corresponding cut in the size of government, which I am also fighting for. We are simply adding to the future tax burden of our children.
Do you have a message for the Ron Paul movement? Do you have a product for the New Hampshire Liberty community? Then stop keeping it a secret. Head on over to
RidleyReport.com. Email Ridley
and purchase an ad. There is no humiliation nor privation Ridley will not endure to ensure your message gets out. RidleyReport.com